Hello Angel Besties, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. My name is Rachel. In today's video, I'm going to be going through my July TBR. I have an amazing TBR, you guys. This is one of my favorite TBRs that I've ever put together. It is all fantasy and fantasy romance, and I'm very, very excited for all of these books. I'm also just excited for July in general. July is, I think, my favorite month of the year because it is just pure summertime, and I am doing two very exciting things this month. Number one, I am going to the Eras Tour. Taylor Swift is gracing Seattle with her presence this month, and I'm very, very excited. I did see Taylor Swift at the Speak Now tour, which I think was about 10 years ago, so I'm very excited to see her again, and obviously the Eras Tour is super iconic, so I just can't wait. It's gonna be like the best day of my life. I'm also doing another very exciting, life-changing thing this month, and that is I'm going to be getting on a plane and meeting up with a bunch of my friends here on BookTube. I am so excited, you guys. I'm gonna be vlogging the whole thing, and I don't know if I'm gonna survive the weekend. Like, I'm going to perish simply from the emotions, the dopamine levels, like everything is just gonna be so fantastic. I'm really, really excited to meet so many of my best friends that I talk to on a regular basis in person this month, and it's just gonna be fantastic. So July is gonna be amazing. I'm very excited. So I have a very ambitious TBR this month, but I'm feeling excited about all these books. I really, really want to read them all. So let's get into it. This is my very ambitious July TBR. All right, so the first book that I want to talk about is no stranger to one of my TBRs, and that is The Heart of Betrayal by Mary E. Pearson. This is the second book in the Remnant Chronicles trilogy, which is like a YA fantasy romance trilogy. I read the first book, The Kiss of Deception, last year, really enjoyed it, and now I really want to continue on with the series. The general premise for the series, if you don't know, is in the first book, our main character is a princess. She is kind of forced into an arranged marriage that she wants nothing to do with, so she and a friend run away, escape, and she's like, I'm just gonna go live a simple life in this village away from the kingdom. What she does not know, though, is there are two men out searching for her. One is the prince that she essentially left at the altar, and then another is an assassin from an enemy kingdom. He has been assigned to go and kill her because a lot of the other kingdoms are seeing that her kingdom is vulnerable right now with their princess missing, so he is assigned to go kill her to keep that vulnerability going so that his kingdom can maybe take them over. The book has a lot of twists and turns that are super fun, and I've heard that the second book is even better, so I'm very excited to get to this book in the month of July. Really, really hoping that I love it. Another book that I want to read in the month of July is The Crown of Oaths and Curses by J. Bree. So this is a new series from J. Bree. She wrote the Broken Bonds series, which I believe is like a paranormal romance reverse harem series. I did try to read that series, but I just couldn't really get into it, and I DNF'd it pretty early. But I decided to pick this up because it is a little bit of a genre change for her. This is more of like a high epic fantasy romance series. And I did read the two prequel novellas, The Sword and the Scepter, that you read before you start this one, and I was intrigued. I'm excited. I feel like her writing has improved, and I just feel like this premise is more intriguing to me than the premise of the Broken Bonds series was. But essentially, in this world, we have a war happening between the Fae and the witches. They absolutely hate each other. It's been going on for a long time. And of course, our two main characters are a witch and a high Fae savage prince. So our main character, Rook, who is the leader of a witch coven, she ends up hearing a prophecy that she needs to go and assist in the Fae and witch wars, and particularly that she needs to go help out the savage prince because he is her fated mate. So that is something that we find out in the beginning of this series. It's actually on the back here, so that's not a spoiler. The two characters haven't met yet, but they have spoken telepathically with one another, and I think once they come face to face with one another, it's going to be very juicy. They are going to have to kind of figure out, how are we supposed to be fated mates when our people hate each other? The savage prince, Soren, absolutely hates witches. He thinks that they are terrible, and his mate is a witch. So I think there's gonna be so much drama and a lot of like political intrigue, enemies to lovers. There's also a lot of magical creatures that we have been introduced to in the prequel novellas. So I think that this is gonna be a really interesting world, and I'm excited to get to the first proper book in the series. So hopefully I love this one. All right, so the next book on my July TBR is actually probably my top priority for the month, and that is City of Ruin by Charissa Weeks. So this is the second book in the Witch Walker series. The first book was The Witch Collector, which I read last month, and I absolutely loved it. And I'm really excited to get to this one because from people who have read the entire series so far, they say that book 2 is like everything. They say that book 2 is the best, and that the plot absolutely explodes, and like what you think is happening in The Witch Collector in the first book is just not even really happening, and there's just absolutely so much more going on. So I'm really, really excited to get to this book. This is a fantasy romance series. In the first book, we follow a main character whose sister was kidnapped by the Witch Collector 24 years ago. So she has been preparing her whole life for whenever he comes back, she's going to kill him. But tragedy strikes, chaos happens, happens and she ends up kind of having to begrudgingly team up with the Witch Collector in order to survive, and so much takes off from there. I think that the writing of this series is really beautiful. In particular, I really liked that aspect. I really like our characters, and we also have like a pretty big cast of characters as well that we got to know even more as the book went on. And I think that a lot of the characters are going to take up a bit more space in this book, which I'm excited for because I think all of the little side characters are fantastic as well. And I'm just really excited. I'm very, very hyped up for this book because I've just heard City of Ruin is like so much better than The Witch Collector, and I loved The Witch Collector. So I'm very excited for this. After I finish The City of Ruin, I am hoping to pick up the novella for this series, which is The Wolf and the Witch. So you read The Witch Collector and then you read City of Ruin, and then you're supposed to read The Witch and the Wolf, and then the next full novel is not out yet. So I'm just going to pick this up this month as well. I've heard it's really, really fantastic, and I do think that it is pretty important to the plot to read this, so I'll be picking this one up too. The next book that I want to read in the month of July is The Adventures of Amina al-Sarafi by Shannon Chakraborty. I've just been hearing so much buzz about this book, so that is why I decided to pick it up. Also, I think that the cover is so cool, and I just really, really want to try out this author. This author wrote the Daevabad trilogy, which is a trilogy I have not got to, but it is on my TBR to eventually pick up one day. But in the meantime, I just want to pick this one up because I'm more excited about it as of right now. What I know about this book is that it is set at the high seas, which I don't think I've ever read a book that takes place on a boat on the ocean, so I'm excited for that. Our main character ends up agreeing to, for a large sum of money, she will go and help retrieve the kidnapped daughter of a king. I think obviously a lot more goes on than that, and there's a lot more at play here, but I've heard that the characters are really fantastic, and I'm super, super excited to pick this one up. The next book that I want to read in the month of July is A Court This Cruel and Lovely by Stasia Stark. So this is the first book in a new fantasy romance series, and this premise is really, really cool. So in this world, humans, they're born with some type of power, but when they are born, they have to give it up to the gods. In exchange for giving up this magical power, the gods will protect them from the evil Fae. Well, our main character, something goes wrong when they try to take her power when she's born, and she actually secretly still has her power. She does have to kind of keep this hidden, of course, because it is punishable by death to have magical powers if you are a human, but she somehow gets exposed in her village and everyone finds out, so she has to run away, and she ends up striking a deal with a very mysterious mercenary. This mercenary says that he will train her how to use her power, offer her protection, all of that, if he helps her get access to this kingdom. So I think we're gonna have a little bit of enemies to lovers, and we're gonna have gods involved, which you guys know I love, and I've just heard really, really wonderful things about this book. I'm super, super excited for it, and I hope that it is a hit. All right, the next book on my July TBR, once again, another book that I'm so excited for, you guys. I just have so many amazing books on my TBR this month, and this book is no exception. Hopefully, I hope I like it. But this book is A Kiss of Iron by Claire Sager. This book has another kind of like fantasy romance, enemies to lovers plotline, where our main character is a penniless noblewoman down on her luck, and she agrees for a large sum of money to infiltrate the monarchy in the court and kill the evil, savage, dark prince. But of course, as we all know, that's not gonna happen, and she's gonna fall in love with him. At least I think that is what is going to happen. But this book also promises a lot of political intrigue and court intrigue and deception and things like that. So I think that this book is going to be really interesting, and I love the trope of I'm supposed to kill you, but I eat it up every time. The next book on my July TBR is Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. This book has been getting a lot of buzz lately, and so I'm very, very excited to be reading it. This book follows two characters who I believe they're like rivals to lovers. They end up anonymously communicating via letters and somehow get embroiled into a war against the gods. That's kind of all I know, but that sounds really amazing. I've heard that the writing is really beautiful, and I've just seen a lot of people say that this book is really, really fantastic. I hope I like it as much as everyone else does, and I'm really looking forward to the rivals to lovers aspect in particular. The next book on my July TBR is This Woven Kingdom by Tahereh Mafi. Tahereh Mafi wrote the Shatter Me series, which is very well known, which sidebar, should I read the Shatter Me series? I've never read it. I hear a lot of buzz about it. I don't know if it's worth my time, and I would love to know, do you guys want me to read it? Because I will. If you tell me to, I will, but I just don't really know enough about it if I should, if you guys think I will like it. And I don't know, I feel left out of the club because I see so many people reading the Shatter Me series and really loving it. So let me know if I should do that. But anyway, this new series by Tahereh Mafi is essentially what I have heard Game of Thrones set in the Persian Empire, which I think sounds really, really cool. I believe our main character was a princess, but she is kind of in hiding right now, and she has a bit of like an enemies to lovers relationship with the current prince. So very excited for this. I also believe it's a YA fantasy romance, but I love a good YA fantasy, so I'm excited. And last but certainly not least, I am of course continuing on with my Throne of Glass free read, and I am supposed to be in the month of July on Heir of Fire. Gonna be honest with you right now though, it is the end of June and I have not read Throne of Glass or Crown of Midnight. I am going to attempt to read both of those this week. But if I don't, you will either see Crown of Midnight and Heir of Fire on my July wrap up, or if I'm able to, you will see Heir of Fire and then maybe Queen of Shadows on my July wrap up. Who can say? All I know is in the month of July, I do want to get to Heir of Fire. This book. This is one of my favorite books of all time. This is, in my opinion, one of Sarah's best books. It is a healing book. It is enemies to lovers done very, very well, and I absolutely love it. I am trash for this book, and I am so excited. You guys know what happens in this book, and I cannot wait to see that character. I'm very, very excited to be reading Heir of Fire in July. All right, friends, so that is going to be it for me. That is my July TBR. I am very excited about every single book on my TBR. I think it's gonna be a great reading month. Fingers crossed I come out with some new all-time favorites. If you made it to this point in the video and you wanted to let me know, go ahead and leave the cat emoji, because this one is purring at my feet, but apparently doesn't want to be held, so lots of mixed messaging here. Please make sure that you're following me on Instagram and Goodreads. Both are always linked down below. I really appreciate that you watched this video. I hope that you are having a fantastic day. I love you guys so, so much, and I will catch you guys in the next one.